Kelly Tracy, and welcome to the Australian Fitness Series. 5 programs that put fitness theory into action. In our first program, we start with the basics. What fitness is, how we measure it, and why we need it.
Physical fitness is our ability to perform the tasks presented to us at any time without experiencing too much fatigue or exhaustion. That includes work, pleasure, and even emergencies. These tasks will, of course, vary depending on what we do. For the elite athlete, peak fitness means being able to compete well in their chosen field. For others, it might mean some serious night clubbing without getting too exhausted. There are 2 different types of fitness: health-related fitness and performance fitness. Health-related fitness includes heart-lung fitness, flexibility, muscular strength, muscular endurance, and appropriate body fat composition. Performance fitness, on the other hand, is for people who are seriously involved in competitive sport. For them, fitness means being able to perform at the right level in their particular event. Performance fitness has a number of skill-related components: speed, power, coordination, balance, agility, and reaction time.
So how do we measure the various aspects of health and performance fitness? One common test is bicycle ergometry, which is often used in health centres and gymnasiums to test levels of fitness.
In this test, the subject pedals an exercise bike at a workload appropriate to their age and build. The heartbeat must settle between 120 and 170 beats per minute throughout the exercise. The heartbeat is then recorded at intervals, usually of 1 to 2 minutes, over a 7-minute period. This test is known as submaximal. That is, the subject works at an endurance level rather than to exhaustion. It's based on the principle that as the workload becomes heavier, the body requires more oxygen and the heart rate increases. When the instructor has finished testing the subject, he matches up age and body weight with the heart rates and workload and determines an aerobic capacity reading. In other words, this test shows how much oxygen is used under physical stress. For 17-year-old girls, an average reading is 36 to 37 millilitres of oxygen per minute. An average reading for 17-year-old boys is 40 to 46 millilitres of oxygen per minute. Muscular strength is the ability of our muscles to generate force against resistance. It refers to the body's ability to do an intense level of work for a short time. There are several ways of describing strength. Absolute strength is the maximal force generated by muscle and involves usually 1 maximal muscle contraction. Relative strength is the force generated by muscle but corrected on account of body weight. So if a lighter person scores the same on a strength test as a heavier person, in relative terms, the lighter person is the stronger. Strength endurance is the ability of the muscle to repeat muscular contractions against resistance. In other words, the ability of the body's muscles to sustain a moderate level of work for a long time. This type of activity is aerobic. In other words, the body gets energy required from oxygen. So you would say that an endurance athlete has high strength endurance but low absolute strength. On the other hand, weightlifters and sprinters have low strength endurance but high absolute strength. In everyday life, strength endurance allows us to navigate busy streets without losing our breath, or go for a satisfying skate at the end of a hard day.
The most common method for measuring absolute strength is with this little device. It's called a dynamometer. So let's see how I'm doing. That's not bad.
Strength endurance, on the other hand, is measured by repeated actions over a period of time, such as sit-ups or chin-ups.
21, 22, 23. Well, 23. Last week it was only 21.
Flexibility means the range of movement of a joint or group of joints. And there are two types of flexibility. Static flexibility refers to a range of motion without emphasis on speed. Dynamic flexibility, on the other hand, measures resistance to motion at a joint but involves speed during performance. So a basketballer might have dynamic flexibility in the back, legs and arms to be able to dribble that ball and shoot those goals. Flexibility is specific to every joint, so there's no one overall test. However, a general indication of static leg and hip flexibility is some simple and gentle leg stretching while lying on the floor. Our bodies are composed of bones, muscle, fat, and other specialised tissues and fluids. But in fitness testing, body composition usually refers to the amount of fat someone carries relative to their total body weight. The most common method of testing body composition is the skin fold measurement. The measurements are taken with a skin fold caliper. Because most body fat is stored just under the skin, we are able to determine a person's body fat by measuring different sites on the body. The most common sites are biceps, triceps, subscapular and suprailiac. The skin fold width is then translated into the percentage of body fat. Now, although this test does make some people nervous, it's important to remember that the acceptable percentage of body fat for women is between 24 and 28%. In fact, if you get below 20%, you risk the possibility of serious hormone imbalance. And the acceptable percentage of body fat composition for men is between 12 and 19%. So far, we've looked at the components necessary for health-related fitness. But there are also specific components necessary for performance fitness. One of these is muscular power, which is the ability to combine speed and strength in an explosive action. This is particularly important in sports where throwing and jumping actions are used. People often confuse muscular power with muscular strength, but there's a crucial difference. Power is determined by the amount of work per unit of time. So people who are strong may not necessarily be powerful. Hence the terms speed-related power and strength-related power. Speed is the ability to perform bodily movement quickly. It is important in most physical games as well as emergency situations. A simple method for testing speed is to measure a short sprint over time. Agility is a little more complex. It's the ability to move the body from one position to another with speed plus precision. So it's a basic requirement in games such as tennis, basketball and gymnastics.
This very challenging device I'm using here is called a balance board, and it's used to test dynamic balance, which is our ability to balance while in motion. So doing this is an indication that you should be able to learn how to do this.
Reaction time is the time we take to react to a stimulus. For example, the stimulus might be the starter's gun we just heard, and the action might be sprinting. Or it could be a visual stimulus such as a ball or a speeding car. The average reaction time in humans to external stimulus is 170 milliseconds, but for athletes this time is shorter. Coordination is one of the most complex motor skills we can develop. It's the ability to harmonise the messages from the senses with the parts of the body in order to produce movements that are smooth, skillful and well controlled. You can see exceptional coordination in the tennis player, who is able to serve with speed and accuracy, or the gymnast, who performs a complex routine display. The bonus for well-coordinated people is that they acquire new movements more easily. Australia likes to project itself as a healthy and fit nation. But how healthy are we really? Recent statistics from the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare present a complex picture of our health and fitness. For a start, Australians are putting on weight. According to recent surveys, 55% of men and 35% of women believe themselves to be overweight. These figures take on added significance when we consider that obesity is associated with cardiovascular disease, which includes heart attacks and strokes. Cardiovascular disease is still the single most important cause of death in Australia, and it represented 24% of all deaths in 1993. But on the bright side, deaths from cardiovascular disease have decreased since 1967. Another contributing factor to cardiovascular disease is high cholesterol levels. Cholesterol is a type of fat transported through the bloodstream by lipoproteins. It can build up on the walls of arteries, diminishing blood flow and putting greater pressure on the heart. Although much money is put into promoting physical activity, Australians are still avoiding the level of exercise needed to be a fit nation. The National Heart Foundation of Australia has found that only 38% of men and 30% of women had engaged in vigorous and consistent exercise in a sport, recreation, health or fitness program. Only 6% of men and 4% of women participated in vigorous exercise 3 or more times per week at the recommended average of 20 minutes or more per session.
In recent years, there's been a lot around about getting healthier and getting fitter. And with all these messages blaring at you, have you ever wondered, so what? Or why bother? Well, if you have, you're not on your own. There's a sloth lurking in all of us. But there are really important reasons for being fit, and that's what this next section is all about.
Regular aerobic activity, such as jogging or cycling, can reduce blood fat, body weight, and blood pressure. Good cardiovascular fitness means a stronger heart. You can think of your heart in the same way as a bicep muscle. If it isn't worked, it goes flabby. But a strong heart is able to pump well, so it can rest more between beats. A fit person can have a resting heart rate of 40 or 50 beats per minute, whereas someone who's unfit may have a rate of 70 or 80. Increased physical fitness improves our body's ability to deliver oxygen to the working muscles. When we improve our fitness, we improve our capacity in all activities that require sustained effort beyond 5 minutes. And that means all activities, from marathon runs to a cycle down to the shops, from handling a stressful exam late in the day to enjoying ourselves on the weekend. Physical fitness improves our flexibility and strength. Back problems will decrease, as will the risk of injury, and our work capacity will increase. Physical fitness also means looking good. Less body fat and improved muscle tone means a better body image. And with a better body image, we build our confidence. But the most important thing is to measure your physical fitness with proper testing, rather than try to measure up to glamorous images. Exercise can also relieve anxiety and depression. It can reduce muscle tension caused by stress, and it can promote sleep. Physical fitness gives us a greater resistance to and control of stressful situations. And by participating in sports and physical activities, our networks can improve, as can our ability to interact with other people. As we become more fit, our attitudes to other unhealthy behaviours may change. Cigarette smoking and excessive drinking can work against a fitness program. Given all these fantastic benefits of fitness, it's a wonder why people stop. But they do. On average, 50% of people give up an exercise program within 3 months. Unfortunately, our society is not geared toward active fitness. More and more of our entertainment is passive, playing computer games, watching television or seeing films. Our attitudes to fitness are formed through our cultural environment, our family, our friends and social groups. So if we grow up in environments that give us negative messages about fitness, we'll internalise these messages and make them our own. There are also a range of specific reasons why people give up exercising. Life changes, expense, loss of family, peer or group support, weather, medical problems, lack of time, or the exercise could be just plain boring. The motivation to begin and continue a program varies from individual to individual. Medical advice, peer pressure, your best friend may be exercising and looking better, or we may see the rewards from our early exercising efforts and feel motivated to continue.
For me, it's a mixture of all these things, but if I'm honest, it's the social and self-esteem factors that motivate me most. I like to look good, I like to feel healthy, and I enjoy meeting people.
In this program, we've looked at definitions, measurements and benefits of physical fitness. In Program 2, we'll look more closely at the forces that shape our attitudes to fitness and exercise. In Program 3, we'll analyse physical activity and the learning of skills. And in Programs 4 and 5, we'll look into the characteristics of fitness programs and methods of design.
So until next time, this is Kelly Tracy wishing you good health and fitness.